Welcome to Pencils and Lipstick. This is a podcast for indie writers. I'm Kat Caldwell, a short story writer, novelist, and book coach. Here on the podcast, we sometimes talk to guests about all things story, and sometimes it's just me giving you tips and tricks to making your writing better. Hello, everyone. Welcome to December, and welcome to Pencils and Lipstick. I'm Kat Caldwell, and this is episode 248 of the podcast. I cannot believe we are going to get past 250 before Christmas comes. It's pretty crazy. It's December 2nd as this episode goes out, which means we have 1 month before it is 2025. How does that make you feel? I just wonder, sit for a second and wonder, sort of check in. How does that make you feel? Are you excited for 2025? Are you excited for what you accomplished in 2024? Are you maybe stressed out and upset about what you did or didn't accomplish in 2024? Are you wondering if you can accomplish it in 2025? I think all of these things are really valid, right? It's interesting to check in with yourself and try to understand why you have those feelings. I woke up today with how you just get that low level hum of energy. And I was thinking what is it that I'm nervous about? What is it that is bothering me today? Couple things as usual, I hadn't, recorded the podcast. So that was one of them. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go do that. And two, just, I think it's just the holidays. It's the end of the year. And I had to really sit and think okay, what did I accomplish this year? How do I feel about that? How does it make me feel? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I being too hard on myself? Most likely we are being too hard on ourselves, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about a couple different things in this episode. It's just me. I will probably have a couple more guests before the end of the year. And I'm thinking we might take a break between Christmas and New Year's, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I get all these people wanting to talk to me. More people want to talk in the new year than right now. But if you guys are looking for a holiday book, I was actually just talking to some writer friends about this, holiday books. That's an interesting thing happening on TikTok right now. Everyone's asking for a holiday book. And I love holiday movies, but I don't necessarily read holiday books. But one of our listeners told me about her holiday book. So I thought, let's tell everyone about her holiday book, J.P. Bradley's holiday book, because if you are listening to this and you want to support each other, even though you might remain faceless to each other, hey, get this wonderful holiday book. It's called Wait. It's a 3,000 Reasons series novella. So Jamie P. Bradley is the author, and it says Ben and Gina's steamy holiday romance is available now. Oh my gosh. So it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Google Play, and Apple. And then she has it actually in a little bookstore in Maine, which is so cool. I'm going to give you guys the links to this little novella so that, it'll get you in the Christmas spirit. I'm going to read it as well. And we're just going to get more towards Christmas, right? We're all done with Thanksgiving. It's time to put up the tree and decorate. Unless you're one of those, let me use a kind word, crazy people who decorate before Thanksgiving. I know that's a harsh thing to say, right? But it is it's December now, so we're not going to argue anymore about that. But it is December. It is that end of the year. We are probably, maybe you're taking a deep breath from NaNoWriMo if you won. Win means that you finished the 50,000 words, right? Congratulations. Most likely that 50,000 words is not your full novel. So you have the editing process to go to, which is so much fun. It depends. Depends. But congrats. If you got 50,000 words done, that's amazing. Maybe you didn't do NaNoWriMo and you're just trying to add a few words every day to your novel or a few words every week to your novel. Maybe it's time to check in. I know that we like to do this in January. Us Americans especially are all about the New Year's resolution and what are we going to do and our word for the year. And I used to be really into that. I remember one year we were in this house, so it must have been maybe 2021 New Year's resolution. I think it was that because it was COVID. So, and I remember telling my family, my kids and my husband, well, my New Year's resolution is to write 4 books this year. And 2 of those books were, I can never do the opposite. Here, Bended Loyalty and Bended Love. I actually don't know what the other 2 were supposed to be. I don't remember. Of course, they didn't get done because actually, I think I was supposed to finish Coffee Stains that year, write Bended Loyalty and Bended Love, and then one other. Because I kept hearing all these things about how other people were getting a book out every single quarter. And I was like, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I remember my husband looking at me and saying, why can't you ever choose a resolution that's normal? And I was really offended by that question from him. But it's like, well, okay, why can't I? It was not feasible in that year. We had just moved. My kids were getting used to a new school, and it was still COVID and all the things, right? I actually finished Coffee Stains that year and put it out in October, but that was 10 months. It took me all year to do that. So if you are feeling like you didn't finish your resolutions this year, I do think it is time to check in and actually really be honest with yourself about where you are in your life right now. I could tell you that I finished 3 books this year, but that's not actually fully the truth, right? Bended Loyalty and Bended Love came out this year. I held them to be published together. So Bended Loyalty was actually done last year by last fall. Actually, by last September, it was finished. And then Bended Love got done by January. And then it took me some time to get their blurbs and their covers done, and then to do the Kickstarter. And then I didn't publish them technically until September and October, right? In the meantime of doing all of that marketing and book launching stuff, I was still working on, I think we're going to call it Crossing the Channel. That's what we're going to call it. Crossing the Channel, which is the second to, I don't have my books up, to Stepping Across the Desert. That just caused me a lot of trouble. I think I say this with every book. And so I finished that book this year. I just got the edits back. Thank you, Stacy Juba. And we are actually going to chat about it, she and and she's right about so many things. But I could be like, I got 3 books done this year, but that's, not totally the truth. One of them was done last year. One of them was almost done and got done in January. So does that even count? So I finished 1 book this year, and I am holding on to it. I'm going to finish the edits up. It's going to be good, once life with kids settles down a little bit. And then I've been working on another book because I like to write. But I definitely didn't put out a book a quarter this year. And when I listen to some podcasts with some authors that I greatly admire, it can feel frustrating, right? It can feel quite overwhelming to think, oh, I didn't get enough done. I didn't get it done. But it's, I was telling my oldest today, it's really not worth worrying about what didn't get done. And I say that knowing full well it's very difficult to do that. But let's look forward. Let's give some space for those feelings of, oh, I wish I had gotten them done. I wish I had gotten that done. And then take it a step further and think, why didn't I get it done? Is there something that's missing? Is there more that I need to know about the craft of storytelling, possibly? That's what I needed. I needed this, if I was going to put together these 2 books, Bended Loyalty and Bended Love, I really needed to figure out where I was going to take both of them. It took me a lot of thinking energy. It was also during the middle of COVID, and that just zapped a lot of our energy, didn't it? And in the meantime, life is also happening. I'm sure most of you have kids or someone that you're caring for, possibly a full-time job that you're doing. Maybe you're moving, maybe somebody's sick, maybe things are going on in your family. So we can be really hard on ourselves thinking, oh, Katie Cross puts out a book. What was it this year? Every 6 weeks? I feel like maybe it was less. But she has years of experience writing. She is writing in one world. She knows where she's going. She's got a team that works with her because she knows what she can make off of her books and all that, and what she is able to do. And so now it's her full-time job, and she just, planned her year out like that. And even she admitted she probably won't do that this coming year. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But see how it's really difficult to compare yourself, not without taking away all the things that came before. Especially if you are new to writing, and I would consider new to writing like 3 books and under, 4 books and under. You know that you're still going to have to figure out the story. You're still going to have to, battle life things happening. You're still going to have to battle focus and find that time to put stuff, to put into the writing. And you might still be needing some workshops and some other things that will contribute to your knowledge of storytelling. The other thing that we have to do once you are 1, 2, 3, a billion books in, well, and let's not say a billion, let's say 1 to 6 books in, you're really starting the marketing journey, right? And again, if you look at people who are much farther along than you think, well, their marketing is so easy. Well, they, right away start selling things. I started putting up some Facebook ads for the Bended Duet. And I had to literally keep reminding myself that Facebook has to learn your product. It has to learn the audience. And that's painful because it's expensive. But I had to sit down and write, okay, if I don't do, a lit ring or prolific work, or one of those other promotions, which I usually do a couple of those every month. Okay, I won't do those this month because I really want this Facebook algorithm to learn my books, and I'm going to put my money towards that. That's another thing that we have to start learning, is those marketing and what we can and cannot do with that marketing, right? So I read this interesting article from the Indie Author magazine, and it's by Steve Higgs, and I'm guessing he's an author. And he says, you should start focus on selling your books more than writing the next book. And he caveats it with the fact that that is for people who have a couple books under their belt. But I thought it was an interesting thing to say, because the majority of the indie author world says, focus on writing the next book, focus on writing the next book. And yes, it's true. But on the other hand, you can't just let that other book sit and do nothing, right? So even if you are writing a series and you only have 1 book out, you do have to do some sort of marketing. You do have to get it out before the eyes of the readers, of the fans. You have to keep pushing it. And I know that that's hard because you're usually not making a ton of money from those books. And so I want you guys to think this month and next month, however long it takes you to think, of what kind of marketing you're going to be doing for your books. If you don't have an author newsletter, you should have an author newsletter. That is one of the cheapest ways to do it. Okay. If you are really pressed for money, or just like if you're just starting out, I used SendFox for a really long time. I'm going to write this down because I'm going to put these links in the show notes. I used SendFox for a really long time. It's through AppSumo. It's very easy to use. It's very streamlined, right? There's not a ton of bells and whistles on it, but if you're just starting out, you probably don't need more than that. I now use MailerLite. I love MailerLite. It's like 33% off right now. If you're looking to move up from something like SendFox, or you don't like your mailing host, I don't know what they're called. I've used almost all of them. I really did like ConvertKit, which I think is now called Kit. MailerLite is still cheaper than ConvertKit, but ConvertKit is pretty dynamic. It has a lot of really cool things. I've used Constant Contact. I've used Flowdesk. There's a couple others. I don't know. I've used almost all of them. I came back to MailerLite. I really really like MailerLite. They're very kind. They'll answer you on all your questions. It's easy to learn. It's pretty, it's just it's a solid one. I use it for both my writing newsletter and my reading newsletter. So I always had it for writing, and it was my reading newsletter that I kept kind of jumping around. And I ended up making a different account for my reader's newsletter, and that's where I am at MailerLite. And I think that discount is going, possibly. I think you'll have to check it out, honestly. So author newsletter is something that you most definitely should have. Even if you have one book, you should consider either BookFunnel or Story Origins. That is a place where you can host your book for any sort of giveaway. So any giveaway that I do, usually the ebook copy gets sent to the winner through BookFunnel or Story Origin. It's just a place where you can hold your book. I don't have to then spend any money buying the book through Amazon and sending it to the winner. BookFunnel and Story Origin have extensive, tutorials on how to get it from their platform to the ebook reader. A lot of time, and everyone's actually pretty used to them now. Like there really aren't that many questions that come in. Anyone, if you just sign up for any sort of giveaway, the people who tend to sign up to win those giveaways know about BookFunnel and Story Origin. I would check both of them out. Choose one. I am on both. I'm friends with Evan. He's come a couple times to the show to talk about Story Origin. There's a lot of things happening on Story Origin, like you can connect it to then sell your book direct, which I don't think you can do on BookFunnel. Both of them have Audible audio book shares as well. They both kind of work the same. It is worth seeing who is hanging out where, because if you're going to do swaps with your newsletter, it feels a little bit like BookFunnel has sort of the longer, been here longer vibe, honestly, has a lot of romance on there. I think both of them have a lot of romance, but it's worth looking around and seeing where you might fit better. In the end, I think either one of them, I've never seen anything wrong with choosing either one of them. So you're probably going to want to look into that. And how is that going to help you in your marketing? That you're going to be able to do swaps. So I'll be able to say, hey, I'll talk about your book if you'll talk about my book. And it's kind of like what we just did now, right? With Jamie P. Bradley's book. Like, hey, I'm going to tell you about this great Christmas book. And it's not mine, it's somebody else's. And somehow in the book world, it just feels like you're not constantly talking about your own book, right? Okay. And so that is a swap. And then you can also sign up for giveaways or sales through those sites. And so you can kind of constantly be keeping your book up there. So if you are new to this, you should consider those two things in order to keep your book relevant and to keep conversing with the readers as you go through. And so I don't know that I would tell you to not write the other book. I'm for sure not going to tell you that. And I'm not sure that that's really what he's saying. He's saying this if you have like already 12, 15 books, maybe you should stop for a second and market the books that are out. But even if you have one or two books out, I think that you should still do a little bit of baby marketing while you're writing the other books. The other article that Indie Author Magazine has out, which I will link to in the show notes, is crafting compelling emails. And since I'm encouraging you to start your author newsletter or to get back on the horse of author newsletters, if you sort of let it go in 2024, is I will be linking this out there to you as well. And basically the idea is to create a story in your email. I admit that sometimes you get to the day that your email is due and you kind of scramble, right? Like, what do I even write about? Everyone does something different. Some people have really long emails. Some people have really short emails, and it can feel like you're not doing it right if you're kind of in that mode of, oh my gosh, what do I write? There are some long emails that I really enjoy, but I do try to keep mine very short. Okay, I said very short. I do try to keep mine short. So give them a little bit of my life and then give them some sort of giveaway or book or short story, or which reminds me, I told them that I was giving them a short story last week and then I totally forgot. And I just realized that now as we're talking. So, but really what you're going to do is you're going to tell the readers, the email readers, something about you or your life or your character or your book. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated. So if let's say you're going to start this month sending out your reader newsletter, most likely you're only going to have a handful of people on that newsletter right away, but you can talk about your Christmas traditions, maybe the year that you went to get a tree and it all went wrong, the year that you forgot where you hid all the presents. That's actually one of my emails that I'll have to go find. I literally forgot where I hid them. Oh, and yesterday I found a gift that I hid from my youngest last year. Yes, I do. I am that person. So, maybe that's what I'll write about this year, this coming week. It doesn't always have to do, specifically with what is happening in the world either. I think this is my own opinion, but it is okay to distance yourself from world happenings or, whatever is going on. But I know, like, one of my friends, she talks about how she celebrates Hanukkah, and I find that really fascinating because I don't know much about Hanukkah. Right? So you can make it as personal or as impersonal as you want. I want to tell you guys not only about Indie Author Magazine. I've been talking about them, and I'm not sure if you guys know about them, but Indie Author Magazine is both digital and paper. And no, this is not an affiliate. I just want to tell you guys where I'm getting these articles from. I really like getting it like physically in the mail, and but the links I will have in the show notes are the digital ones. You can find a lot of information. They have different themes every month, different interviews. It's really, really interesting magazine. But there is a new magazine coming out. It is called the Book Tribe magazine, and I'm going to have that in the show notes as well. And this month, I think it's their second month of publishing it. And yours truly has written an article for you. So it is especially focused on fiction writers. And this month I talk about getting a traditional contract. How do you go about that? And how much is the industry changing? Now it's quite a short article, but there is a lot of information packed in there. So if you are writing a book that you wish to get traditionally published, go over to booktribe.com and booktribemagazine.com. The link will be in the show notes. Sorry about that. I'm not even saying things correctly today. Thebooktribe.co.uk. My goodness. And you will be able to read the article. I give a lot of URLs where you can find those agents and find those publishing houses, what to expect. What is the most important thing for you to have besides your manuscript, well edited, and how you can sort of navigate that process. There is a lot of information out there on Google. You can go down the Google rabbit trail, or you could start out at the booktribe.co.uk magazine and start with my article and sort of maybe ground yourself in what you're going to need to do in order to get that traditional contract, because it's quite a bit. I've been happy to have a couple clients this year who have gone through the process. And one of my old clients from last year just literally signed, like she was offered, and it takes a little bit in the traditional world. So last week she signed the contract that was offered, and they had made the negotiations. They had agreed on everything. And so her book comes out in, I think, spring of 2026. And so I'm so excited for her. That is really cool. So, know that up front, that things take a little bit longer in the traditional world. Whereas like in the indie world, we can publish our books whenever we wish, right? That's the biggest difference, I think. And, even if you are looking at traditional publishing and you're not sure, or you do want to traditional publish, what I told you about starting your author newsletter still holds true. In fact, that is something that you can talk about as being your platform in your query letter. It's great if you have a big Instagram following, but it's actually better to have a newsletter following. So if you have a big Instagram following, try to get them on your newsletter. And usually agents and publishers are going to be more interested in a newsletter following than the Instagram following. Why? Because newsletter followers are typically more responsive to things like, hey, my book's out, go buy it. Because they see it in the email, and because it's just a little more personal than the social media algorithm. Oh, but the social media algorithm, let's talk about social media. If you are just now scrambling you have a book and you think, oh, maybe I should sell my book this Christmas. Absolutely try to do that. Absolutely. Get out there, talk about your book to social media. If you really want to go for it with ads, I would learn about ads first. Know that any platform, the ads can run away with you really, really quickly. So be very sure how much money you are actually willing to spend each week. Okay? Be very, very sure. And understand that it is a learning curve that is pricey. Okay, so this goes, it's a little less pricey depending on what genre you are in, but it's still pricey. Okay, there's caveats there, but it's still pricey. And it is something that you have to learn, just like storytelling. Ads are something that you should inform yourself about and understand. If you just dive in, know that it might take more money to learn. You might actually be paying for those mistakes that you're learning from. Whereas if you get somebody's course or you take, buy their book or whatever, that money, you might be exchanging that money out, honestly. I actually started taking the Matthew J. Holmes course. It's actually quite inexpensive compared to everyone else. I think it was $150. And it was it's very detailed. It doesn't go really fast. It's great. I can go back and forth. There are things that I would not have thought of. But Mal Cooper has a course. I think Brian Cohen has a course. There are quite a few people out there who do Facebook ads. Quite a few people do Amazon ads. I do not think that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get started. That's just my opinion. You guys take that for what it is worth, a grain of salt, maybe. But if you haven't had the algorithms learn you yet, your book, and I don't know, guys, I'm not great at marketing. I'm not great at sales. That's kind of a hit and miss, on whether you're going to be able to quickly get it to learn, who to put your book in front of in order to make up in sales what you just spent in ads. There is a very big learning curve there. You might consider starting again in January. I have heard from others, and I don't quite know if it's true yet because I haven't been doing ads long enough on Facebook, but that the holidays are more expensive. And so actually some people who have been doing it all year tend to turn off or turn down their ads around now so that they don't overspend. But, again, like we have to look at with people's careers, we need to look at what came before. If they've been running ads all year, most likely the algorithm's not going to just forget them. I hope, right? So I think more than anything, where I would start if you have not been doing a lot of marketing and you are new-ish to this whole selling your book, not just writing your book, I would start with the author newsletter. Now, one more link in the show notes is going to be my my little mini workshop for author newsletters. And I'm going to give you guys access to the author newsletter for half off for the rest of December. I think it'll be like $20 at that point. It is a workshop where I pretty much break it down exactly how to get started. This is something that a lot of people, like every once in a while when I put it on sale or talk about it, because I rarely talk about it, just like a handful of people are like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, give me 45 minutes of you talking to me about how to put together an author newsletter. And then they put it together and they see how easy it is and they make their decisions instead of going down the Google rabbit hole. And then it's done. It's set up. I give you a couple different bonuses out there on automations. And I actually even bring up on screen Book Funnel and Story Origin and how you would use them with your author newsletter. So that is my advice to you guys this week. Yes, we do have to market the books that are out, whatever book is out for you while you're still writing the other one. And I assume a lot of you are probably where I am, or maybe a little, a couple books, fewer books published, maybe I've met a couple of you who have more books than me published. I think you guys just have a commute to listen to podcasts, but even some of you have talked to you before. You've had 3 books out and you haven't started your author newsletter. Please start your author newsletter. It will help you. There is a lot that you can access once you have a newsletter. I think I'm in 3 giveaways this coming month for the next 50 days. So there's a lot that you can access because you have a newsletter, because you are able to tell them, yeah, I'm sharing this with 2,000 people, 3,000 people, 10,000 people. Some people have crazy lists. And you can then participate in these giveaways, right? I don't want you guys to forget either to check out Jamie P. Bradley's book, Wait. It is a 3,000 Reasons series novella, and it is a Christmas story. I mean, there's even like mistletoe on the book cover. And if you guys have a book that you want me to talk about, you want me to tell the audience, if you're a listener and you want to share about your book, just contact me. You can go to katcaldwell.com/contact, send me an email. That's how Jamie did it. We will chat, and I'd love to tell people about your book. I probably won't promote erotica because I just won't. But pretty much any other book I will promote. Also check out the Book Tribe magazine. It is thebooktribe.co.uk, and Indie Author magazine. No, I don't get affiliates from any of them. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but check them out. They have some really great articles, and I will link the 2 articles that I told you about below. And again, check out the author newsletter workshop that I'm going to give just you guys a discount for. You're going to have to go below to check out the discount code. And don't forget, I really recommend Sunfox and MailerLite if you're not going to look at the author newsletter workshop. Those are the 2 that I highly recommend. You can get those links in the show notes below as well. I hope to have a romance author who's actually very prolific with me next week. Our schedules have not quite aligned so far, but we might get her there. But otherwise, the Christmas parties are starting. I have a Christmas party this week. I hope you guys get to dress up all glitzy and glammy and get to have lots of fun. And let's, take a minute this December, sort of give ourselves some space to feel and to adjust and to look back and reflect on the year 2024 so that we can go into 2025 with lots of energy and maybe a renewed sense of what is possible. Because I think almost anything's possible, right? We can get that book done. We can get 4 books done. Who knows what we could get done if we just allow ourselves that space to sort of get rid of the old and bring on the new, right? All right, you guys, I'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe if you are listening on a podcast app or YouTube. I think it's called subscribe, by the way. I don't know. And share this out to anybody who you think needs it, and definitely check out the links below. Bye.